First things first, the 49ers traded up in the draft, so why are they still saying Jimmy G is their guy? Zion had himself a weekend, but are people going overboard comparing Zion to Shaq? And the MVP race is heating up, but James Harden says it is his to lose. Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, a very happy Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Nick, is Harden right that the MVP is his?
Don't ask him.
He's on the very short list. It's just unfortunate that Brandon's decided wins against the Pistons don't count. Otherwise, that was a great game. Otherwise, that was a great game.
Had him at 7.
All right. Let us keep it in the NBA. We will get to the beard in a second. We got start our show right here. Rarely do buyout players make big impacts, but two headliners over the weekend might be the exception to that. You got two-time All-Star Andre Drummond heading to the Lakers, 7-time All-Star LaMarcus Aldridge joining an already stacked Brooklyn Nets team. Conversation pieces. Nick, let's kick it off with you. Which team's new addition you think gets them closer to a title?
Well, I think, Jenna, your point is a very relevant one, which is it is an incredibly short list of buyout guys who have actually ended up being anything close to difference makers on finalists, much less title teams. But if I have to choose between the two, I would say Drummond, because right now the Lakers are so shorthanded, and even when they're not shorthanded, he's going to be the starting center. And on the Nets side of things, I don't totally understand what they're doing, because I understand LaMarcus Aldridge has had a wonderful NBA career, but that doesn't change the fact that at the present moment, he is a bad NBA player. When you see guys bought out, it's typically like the Blake Griffin or Andre Drummond situations, meaning expensive, aging guys near the end of their contracts on terrible teams that would rather play young guys that aren't trying to make the playoffs and want to save a few $1 million. LaMarcus Aldridge just got bought out from a playoff team and hasn't played in a few weeks for a playoff team, which I think speaks to what he's able to do at this point of his career. And so, Brandon, I don't know what he adds to the Nets aside from name recognition, and I don't know if you agree with me on this. I do think Steve Nash's job just keeps getting harder and harder. For a first-time head coach, it's now like, well, Nick Claxton probably helps us more than LaMarcus Aldridge, but LaMarcus Aldridge chose us. He was recruited by us. Do I need to play him? So I don't think either one of these guys is a huge move. I understand the Drummond move a lot more than I understand the LaMarcus Aldridge move.
I agree. And to answer the question quickly, Jenna, it's definitely the Lakers. Drummond comes in, he gives you 17 points, he gives you 13 rebounds off the bench. Well, Nick says he's going to start. He probably will start, absolutely. So that's what he gives you. And he's 27 years of age. This dude can come in and help out a Lakers team that is depleted, help out a Lakers team that is struggling at the big position. You look at Gasol. Gasol was to come in and help, and he didn't. But to your point, Nick, I was smiling because everyone else on TV right now is talking about the Nets and how they're trying to buy themselves a championship. Look at all the moves they're making. What happened to competition? And I was ready to come on here today and talk about, well, the Nets was already in prime position. You add Aldridge and you go back to the Griffin move. These dudes are aging players. We're talking about guys who aren't even averaging 14 points a game. So, you don't understand what they're doing. I do. They're adding depth. They're adding depth, so if one of those guys go down, they'll be able to hold up the ship. That's all this is a depth play. These guys come in, they got high IQ, they can add a little bit of something in the rotation on the defensive side, and they're turning into shooters, Griffin and Aldridge. So you got guys that can come in and hit a shot in the corner. You got guys that can come in and can add, 10 points here, 12 points there, but that's it. Everybody else want to talk about the Nets and how they're buying a championship. I'm not buying that.
Yeah, the Griffin and Aldridge moves are good Rorschach tests for people on television over whether or not they actually watch the NBA. If you went on TV when they got Griffin, or now once they've added Aldridge, and are acting like the Nets added 2 more All-Stars, it flatly means you haven't watched the Pistons or the Spurs all year long. So I fervently and totally agree with you on that point, Brandon. But Wilds, I want your take on how you think this is going to affect the politics inside the Nets locker room. When you've got guys who, with KD out and with Kyrie on his second sabbatical, have stepped up, have stepped into roles like Nick Claxton, who I mentioned. We've talked about TLC in the past. Bruce Brown has actually been a revelation in the last month or so. And those guys, I think, add more to winning than Griffin or Aldridge. But I would imagine there's going to be pressure on Nash in his first playoffs ever as a coach to bump those guys down the rotation in favor of the names Blake Griffin and certainly the name LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, but do you think that Blake has been an issue? I mean, granted, Kyrie hasn't been around and Durant hasn't been around, but it feels like Blake is happy with his role, and I assume LaMarcus Aldridge will be happy with his role. He chose the Nets with eyes wide open, Nick. So I would think that Steve Nash knows that the big 3 get the majority of the minutes, and aging superstars know they're aging superstars. And I think they would be happy with what? 20 minutes a game, 12 minutes a game. You got to see DeAndre Jordan's minutes go down. Sometimes he plays 20, sometimes he plays 12. I think they'd be totally happy with 15 minutes a game and sort of like contribute. The question for you, Nick, is this. Do you consider LaMarcus Aldridge's move ring chasing? Do you consider Blake Griffin's move ring chasing, or just like, I want to be part of this team environment?
Oh, I do. I think it's clearly and obviously ring chasing, but I also don't think that's I don't think that's a pejorative, though. I don't think that's a problem. That's not a slur I'm throwing at him. I think guys who have played this long and not been able to get over the top, if it's like, okay, I'm now in a different phase of my career, going to the place they're most likely to be able to go to a finals and win a championship, they feel, I think is smart. I can give a little bit of news here. I don't know if this classifies as news or rumors, but whatever it is, I'm going to educate the audience a bit. I heard from 2 separate front office guys this weekend. The world evidently thinks I'm plugged in with the Lakers when I'm not. I have no idea. I know no one in the Lakers front office. But 2 separate front office guys this weekend reached out to me asking me if the Lakers were getting Drummond or if Drummond was going to the Nets. And they were asking not along the lines of, because they were worried about the Lakers, these were Eastern Conference folks, because they desperately didn't want Drummond to go to Brooklyn because of what that would do for Brooklyn. I do think, Brandon, buyout guys do have minimal impact, but if you're Brooklyn and you need to go through Giannis and Embiid, potentially both of them, I think of all the buyout guys that they could have added, I think Drummond would have been the best fit for them. So it might actually benefit the Lakers that they got Drummond just to keep him out of Brooklyn. And I don't think Drummond wanted to go to Brooklyn because DeAndre Jordan is, he's been godfathered into 20 minutes a game there. And so he wouldn't necessarily get the time he's going to get with the Lakers.
Well, I want to go back to the first thing you said, Nick. I'm just confused. Why would anybody in America think that you got to end with the Lakers? Why would anybody think that? I mean, you just talk about them every single day. You just stand on the table and talk about LeBron James every single day.
I have an in with some of their players. But I don't have an in with Rob Pelinka. Rob Pelinka doesn't respond to my texts. There's a difference. You go ahead.
Right. All right, look, LaMarcus Aldridge, he's a good rim protector. He's not a great defender, but he's good. When you think about him being 6'11" and a 7'5" wingspan, this dude, we're not asking for a lot. We just need you just to hold down the paint just a little bit. Because why, Jenna? You got those 3 dudes on the other side, lights out, averaging 25 points a game. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden the beard.
So
we don't care about no defense in Brooklyn.
I was going to say we talk about those three as if they played together. They played like 10 minutes together. We haven't even seen them yet.
It doesn't matter, Jenna. You sound like Nick right now.
For depth might be what the team needs. I'd love to see them play so I don't have to sound like Nick. I want to see them all three on the court. I'd like to see two of them at this point on the court at the same time. All right, we're going to talk about much more of this with Chris Broussard coming up. Go to the NFL now, where Niners traded up for the number 3 pick. Is that really the end of the Jimmy G here in San Francisco? We'll tell you why that answer could very well be no. First things first. Let's move on now to the NFL. Big NFL news over the weekend. When the 49ers moved up 9 spots in the draft, presumably to take a quarterback. But Jenna, they already have a quarterback. Well, Adam Schefter's reporting that a Niners source told him Jimmy Garoppolo is there to stay, adding, quote, he's our guy this year. Brandon, remember, Chiefs did this with Mahomes and Alex Smith, kept Mahomes on the bench, played Alex Smith for that year. You buying the Niners are maybe committing to this, committing to Garoppolo this season?
Yeah, I know these guys. You know, they play big roles in my life. You talk about John Lynch, the general manager, and you talk about Shano, the head coach. John Lynch, once after a season, he gave me a jersey. He signed it. It was his jersey, of course, and it said on there, respect the game. So a guy like that, one of my teammates, John Lynch, one of the guys I respect so much, I got to believe him. I can't go against him. Yes, he's going to be the quarterback for this year. And then you got Coach Shano. Coach Shano is the reason why I was drafted. Flew into Houston. And the Houston Texans just took Eric Moulds, a veteran wide receiver. He said, look, man, we only got a first and a third round pick. You're definitely not going to be a first rounder. We got this third round pick. Now we're not going to do it. So it's a waste of your time to be here today. Let's go in there and just watch film. So I was supposed to go in there and watch film. And then when I was leaving, I was supposed to go back to Orlando. But then I get a call from my agent. Hey, Brandon, we're going to send you off to Denver. Coach Shano called his dad, Mike Shanahan, and said, look, you got to take this guy because we're not. So those two guys, I got to believe that they're in on this Jimmy G thing. They keep going out there flirting with all these other quarterbacks and all these different scenarios. But if they say it, I got to believe it, Nick. Why wouldn't you keep Jimmy G in for another year while you develop a Mac Jones? Right now, did you know Justin Fields and Mac Jones is getting ready for their pro days? And both Shano and John Lynch is going to Mac Jones pro day. So, they know what they're doing.
Well, I have no relationship with either John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan, so I can say this. I don't believe them at all. I'm not calling them liars, but in this situation, I don't necessarily trust them. Now, if I had to bet who is going to be the week one starter, I think smart money right now is probably on Jimmy Garoppolo. Because I do think that what Jenna mentioned, the Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes transition is the one that they are hoping to execute. Hoping is the word. And for context there, the year the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, the year prior, they had gone 12-4. They had been, 43-21 over the previous 4 years under Andy Reid, but they knew they had to get better at quarterback. And so they traded up to go get the second quarterback of the draft. They were able to get him at 10, not at 3. The Niners traded 3 first-round picks in total in order to get what will likely be the third quarterback taken in this year's draft, which means they know Trevor Lawrence won't be there, and they must really like at least 2 other guys, and they know one of those 2, or maybe both of those 2 if they're lucky, will be there. But there are 2 things, Wilds, that could make me think that Jimmy Garoppolo won't be the week 1 starter. The first would be a Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford situation, where there's a team that thinks they're going to be a playoff team, has their quarterback go down right before the season. Because if you remember, Sam Bradford was going to be the starter in Philly when they had traded up to get Carson Wentz. Then Teddy goes down. They trade Sam right before the start of the year, and Carson takes over. The other thing that could happen is this. What if Jimmy Garoppolo says, I don't want to be here.
No.
Enough of this.
I want out. That's right.
Like, what if Jimmy Garoppolo, it comes out and says, guys, I'm not into it. I took you to the Super Bowl. I then got hurt the next year. And again, I don't feel this way, but pretend I'm Jimmy. I took you to the Super Bowl. Team was awesome. I get hurt. What happened to the team? Oh, you suck. Guess what the difference was? Old, handsome me. So you know what? If you want to draft my replacement, I'm not into it. So you might ask me to take a pay cut as well. So I do think there is the Jimmy Garoppolo component that could make him very, very available if he's not into a lame duck quarter season, half season, or full season as quarterback.
Yeah, he should ask out, Nick. He should politely ask out. It doesn't have to be a public thing. Just be like, hey, I've read the report. I can see the writing on the wall here. You picked up. You want me to play the Alex Smith role, be the seat warmer. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. My old coach is dying to have me back in New England. Trade me to New England, please. Get on the phone. Do you want the number? It's 617 something. Give him a shout. Trade me. Because here's the thing. He's got a no trade clause, so he can pretty much choose his destination. And he's going to be 30 years old. He's got more yesterdays than he does tomorrows. It's time for him, who's been in the Super Bowl, it's time for him to make a move. And I know Brandy said, oh, you know what? He's not good enough to make those demands. Play out your contract. That's fine. His contract is for playing quarterback. It's not to be a mentor. You be a mentor out of the kindness of your own heart. You don't have to be a mentor. So I can say, like, look, I don't want to be here. I'm Jimmy G now. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be a teacher for my replacement. I would like to leave. Do you think that would you be okay with that?
Well, we had this conversation 2 weeks ago when we were discussing other scenarios. And I said the same thing, Wilds. I said that Jimmy G should ask for a trade or his release if you guys are going to continue to flirt with other quarterbacks. But he hasn't done that yet. So I have to believe that my guys, John Lynch and Coach Kyle Shanahan, has sold water to a well. That's what I believe right now. Why haven't you already done that? 9 out of 10 other quarterbacks, after 3 years of dealing with this, would have went out there and asked for some type of trade, some type of release, or made some type of statement. He hasn't done that, Nick.
That 9 out of 10 quarterbacks point is an important point. How many quarterbacks do we hear about the team is so concerned about their mental well-being? Like, well, Carson Wentz, you drafted Jalen Hurts and he just went off the deep end, man. He just couldn't deal with it. Why'd you pay Jared Goff so early? Well, we needed to send a message to him in the locker room that he was our guy. Aaron Rodgers is really upset that he drafted Jordan Love. And then with Jimmy Garoppolo, it's like, well, we wanted Tom Brady. We couldn't get him. We flirting with Deshaun Watson. We don't think Seattle will trade us Russell Wilson, but we're certainly calling him. And now we're trading all our draft capital to draft your replacement. We'll see it work on Monday. It's like they don't. Every team seems to really be worried about Jenna, their quarterback's frame of mind. San Francisco does not appear to operate that way.
All right, let's leave that there for now. Take a turn, talk some NBA now. Nick's got some medals to give out. Devin Booker dropping 35 last night. Big win over the Hornets. Not enough for a medal, though. Nick's standards are high. Nick, who made the podium last night?
Jenna, it is the greatest edition of NBA medals we have ever done. There is something unprecedented about it. Let's show it. Bronze, Friday night, all Zion Williamson. 39, 10, and 5 on 16 of 19 shooting. But they lose the game because once again at the end of the game, they don't let him run the show. Keep that in mind for a moment. Silver medalist, the man who declared himself the MVP. That's not quite how it works, but I appreciate the audacity. James Harden, 44. 14 and 8 in a win for the Nets, the depleted Nets, against the bad Pistons, but still it was a fantastic game by Harden, especially closing down the stretch. And a gold medalist. Zion again in back-to-back nights. Wow. He gets a bronze and a gold. They decide, you know what? We are going to let you close the game now. In the final 4 minutes, he scored or assisted on every basket.
We learned our lesson.
5 and 6 on Saturday. In 2 games this weekend, he was 29 of 39 from the field, scoring 77 points. Guy was unstoppable. So 2 medals for Zion this weekend, sandwiched in between them, Brandon, your guy, James Harden, who was absolutely sensational on Friday.
You're doing anything in your power, anything you can to keep this guy from gold. He had 44 points, Nick. And look, this whole thing about James Harden declaring himself MVP, I absolutely love it. For 2 months, I've been talking about him as MVP. I've been researching. I've been talking about all these numbers. And all he did is came out saying, I'm the MVP. That's what I should have been saying for 2 months. Just that. James Harden's MVP, end of discussion.
Yeah. No, it's better that you gave more analysis. I like your approach.
Now we're hearing it. And Harden heard it too. Wild, who just missed the cut?
Oh, Miles Bridges, look at this dunk. Is it a dunk, though? Blake Griffin started doing this with the Clippers, and as a community in the media, we still haven't figured out what to exactly call this. It's not a jump shot. It's not a layup. It's not a dunk. So we just need to figure this out, because it's been years since Blake was doing it, and we still have just no clue what to call this.
We do know what to call it.
Slam
it's a
shot.
dunk, Jenna.
What?
It's a dunk.
That's not a dunk.
It's a dunk.
It's not a dunk.
We got to the bottom of that pretty quickly. We're not going to take that much time, I guess. This was just one throw, but was this throw spectacular enough to catapult Zach Wilson on draft day? I cannot watch this throw enough. I've seen it 1,000 times already this weekend. Jets might think so. First things first. Gentlemen, a little drawing a blank now. We start in Baltimore, where the Ravens have been looking to add a weapon for Lamar Jackson. They landed on former Chiefs receiver Sammy Watkins over the weekend. So, Brandon, the Ravens adding Watkins should have Lamar feeling blank.
Yeah, I would say curious. You know, if I'm Lamar, I'm asking the question, who am I getting? What Sammy am I getting? 2014 Sammy? 2015 Sammy? 1,000 yards production, averaging 16 yards a catch, almost 6-7 touchdowns. Who am I getting? You know, because you can also say that he's been in Kansas City and he's been behind Kelsey, he's been behind Tyreek Hill. So who am I getting? Can he come in and give me the production that he gave the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl? I think he should be curious, Jenna. This player is intriguing. You know, he's been banged up the last couple years, and it almost feels like he hasn't even reached his full potential. But he's going into year 8, and now it's on the line right now. So Sammy Watkins has to go in there, and he has to participate. He has to produce at a high level right away.
So let me say this. First of all, I wish Sammy Watkins nothing but the best. He scored the touchdown that sealed the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. He beat Richard Sherman to set up the touchdown to put the Chiefs ahead in the Super Bowl. All-time great playoff performance, and I'll always have fond place in my heart for him. So I wish him the best. But Lamar should be feeling flexible, and I mean that in both ways. One way, flexible, like I'm ready to play with Sammy Watkins and without Sammy Watkins, because Watkins is hurt a lot. And then also flexible, the literal definition, Brandon, I need you to get on a Zoom call with Sammy and help him with his pliability. Because what Lamar is going to find out, there are going to be a lot of hamstring tweaks, a lot of soft tissues, a lot of out for a month with the calf. So I don't know if that's a flexibility thing he can work on. But the problem for him has been availability. So that's how Lamar should be feeling, is flexible, Wilds.
That's right.
He hasn't played a full season since his rookie year, 2014. I still think they should go after AB, Brandon. I'm hoping this is just the first of another move, and hopefully AB shows up in Baltimore.
By the way, Sammy is all in on this. Sammy Watkins tweeted, "This year will be one to remember for a long time." So maybe he knows something about flexibility and pliability. To the Eagles now. They moved down in the draft from 6 to 12. The thinking is they're not going after a quarterback, that they have their guy in Jalen Hurts. But the AP reports there is still no consensus on Jalen's future. Love Hurts, Jalen. So, Brandon, the latest news out of Philly should have Jalen Hurts feeling blank.
Analytical. If I'm Jalen Hurts right now, I'm asking myself, you know, is this the team that I really want to be on? Is this the team I want to give my all to? Right? Like, I'm sitting down with my friends and my family and my agents and saying, even if I lost a job and I was a backup, would this be a team I would want to be on? Think about it. You had to pick between the player, Carson Wentz, and the coach. You pick the player, Carson Wentz, but then you end up losing both. something funky is going on in this organization, and I don't know if they can make it right in the next couple years. If I'm Jalen, I don't know if I want to waste my prime time in Philadelphia with all that mess going on, Nick.
Well, I don't know if Jalen yet has the cachet or credibility as a player in order to really kind of be trying to maneuver behind the scenes. I would say he should feel temporarily secure because I don't really care what the report out of Philly says. I care about what Philly did. Philly was drafting 6th where they could have drafted a quarterback. Now they're drafting 12th where they won't draft a quarterback. So Jalen Hurts, no matter what is written in the newspaper, what was sent into the league office is Philadelphia's not drafting a quarterback in the first round. You know that now, and you didn't know it 96 hours ago when they were sitting there drafting 6th. So in that regard, Wilds, I think this net has been a good weekend for Jalen Hurts' future in Philly.
I think I agree with you. I also want to see more from Jalen Hurts. He threw 148 passes. All right, Joe Burrow threw 400, Tua threw 290. Poor Jalen Hurts, you wouldn't give him the job when Carson Wentz was obviously struggling. And then when he did get the job, you pulled him out for Nate Sudfeld. Let the guy throw the ball. Let's see what you got, Jenna. I still want to see more from Jalen Hurts.
I feel like the Eagles don't exactly know what they want to do there at the quarterback position. All right, let's stay in the NFC East to the Giants now. Daniel Jones coming off a tough season. 11 touchdowns, 10 picks. You know who doesn't agree? The Giants. They're all in on Danny Dimes. Team owner John Maris says Jones looks like a Super Bowl quarterback. Maybe he was watching Mac Jones. So Brandon, Maris saying Jones is a Super Bowl quarterback is blank.
Jenna, this is goofy, but I get it. Nick, have you ever spent any time with Eli Manning? Yes or no?
No. All
right.
He once tried to sell me a game-worn jersey, but that's it.
Okay, there you go. Listen, if you're around Eli Manning, he doesn't look like a champion. He doesn't even talk like a champion. The kid is goofy. I get this because they were with Eli Manning for so many years. The dude sat at the same seat in the cafeteria every day. He did the same thing on the practice field. He did the same thing in the training room. This is a spitting image of Eli Manning. So this organization, that's what they're looking for. I played for the Jets. I also played for the Giants. One's like a public school, one's like a prep school. That's what they want at the quarterback position. So I get it. It's a bit goofy, but I understand what they're seeing. They're seeing Eli Manning. He took them to some Super Bowls, Nick.
Yeah, that's right. So listen, I don't want to be over the top in crushing a player, especially a young player, especially a player that Kevin Wildes has attached his wagon to Daniel Jones's star. So I'm going to want to be a little measured here. John Mara saying Daniel Jones looks like a Super Bowl quarterback is total insanity. The hell you watching, Mara? There's not been a moment in his career, not one moment in his career at Duke or his 2 years in the NFL where you're like, you know what? That guy looks like a Super Bowl quarterback. No, he doesn't. So it's total insanity, Wilds. I don't know what yarn John Mara is trying to spin here, but I ain't buying it.
Okay, timeout. What do you want John Mara to say, Nick? I'm going to throw the ball back to you. What do you want John Mara to say? Probably not. You know what? I think you're right. Probably, maybe, maybe win a playoff game or two.
You want the answer?
What do you want the guy to say? Anything other than this answer would be a media firestorm. Why aren't the Giants trading up? Should the Giants trade? They're giving up on Daniel Jones. This is the perfect answer. Whether or not he believes it wholeheartedly, I don't know. But media-wise, this is the answer that you want to hear.
Can I answer your question, Wilds?
No, you don't.
Look at the bottom of the screen. Giants owner, yes, he does. I can say without any hesitation. I want that sentence gone.
Wrong
Just
answer.
as simple. Yes, he does. I can say without any hesitation. That's doubling down on the bad take. You can't emphatically be wrong.
I still think he was watching Mac Jones. Let's talk draft now. Bucky Brooks, who joins us tomorrow, has BYU quarterback Zach Wilson going 4th to the Falcons in his latest mock. Wilson turning a lot of heads with this throw from his pro day. It's a beauty. Brandon, Did he turn yours, though? Did he turn your head? Zach Wilson's pro day was blank.
What was that?
Well, I don't know about that little wobbler right there. Yeah, what was that little duck? It was fire. No, outside of that duck he threw, it was fire. This is slang for amazing. You know, what I loved about this kid and what he said after was, you know, I wanted to show the difference between me and everyone else in this year's draft. And I truly believe he did that. Rolling out to his non-throwing hand and then throwing against his body. I played 13 years in the league, and I heard this so many times. Quarterback coaches or head coaches tell quarterbacks, don't throw against your body. Don't throw against your body. Look at this throw right here. This is thrown against your body, and he's throwing it 50 yards in the air. Absolutely amazing. This was fire, Nick, that he went out there and he put this on display in front of the whole world to see.
So I think Zach Wilson's pro day was his comfort zone. And by that I mean the ability to sit back in the pocket with no pass rush and throw dimes. Because the concern with Zach Wilson is BYU played the country's 69th hardest schedule last year. The best team they played would have been the worst team Ohio State played all year. And so we already knew he threw 33 touchdowns, 3 picks last year. We know when he's not under pressure, he can be amazing. The concern for him, I'm not saying he's not going to be awesome. I'm simply saying the concern for him is how is he going to deal under adverse circumstances? We didn't see it last year because they didn't have any, and we're not going to see it as pro day wilds when there's no pass rush.
No pass rush. There's no nothing. I call me crazy, Brandon. I would like to see something that looks like a real game. Maybe even a helmet. Just throw on a helmet or some shoulder pads. I said this is Darnold-esque, except Darnold did it in a real game against the 49ers. Imagine if, like, hey, you know what we're going to do, Zach Wilson? We're going to bring out the San Francisco 49ers. We want you to be chased, and then I want you to throw across your body. Oh, my God. The internet would have exploded if Zach Wilson. But poor Sam Darnold can do nothing. Maybe Sam Darnold would have a better chance if he can get into the Jets bubble, take everybody out of it, and have his own pro day. Sam Darnold pro day, watch his stock skyrocket.
I love that idea.
Sam Darnold's really good.
Sam Darnold pro day is a great idea. That's a great idea.
Sam might be gone for Zach.
6'3", 225.
All right, let's get
Sam Darnold, pretty good.
back to the NBA. Nets and Lakers both making big moves over the weekend, but who got closer to a title? First things first.
Stop making a mockery out of the Jet.
With yesterday's rain out, the NASCAR season continues today on Fox. Check out the Cup Series first dirt track race over 50 years. Today, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific over on Fox and the Fox Sports app. All right, back to the NBA now. And what a weekend for that guy right there. Zion Williamson, 39 points against Denver Friday. 38 points against Dallas Saturday. And get this, Zion has an NBA best 23 straight games with at least 20 points. A lot of numbers in those two sentences. Here's the bottom line. Zion is playing out of his mind right now. Chris Broussard back with us, but Nick, start with you. How surprised are you with how well Zion's been playing in year 2?
Oh, your old buddy Nick Wright's not surprised at all. Because when he was at Duke, said he was already a top 25 player in the NBA when he wasn't even in the NBA yet. But I do wonder, and I'm going to give you some unbelievable numbers, but let's pause those for a moment. I do wonder if my good friend and mentor, Chris Broussard, is surprised. Because this past August, I hadn't quite fleshed out my NBA player pyramid. Instead, I just had 3 NBA player tiers. We can show it to America from this past August. And I had the foresight, the wisdom, and the types of skills you would think you would want in an official NBA awards voter to say, Zion Williamson. That's the tier he's on. With Luka and Joel and Jokic. Sorry, Russ, you're not there anymore. And Dame. And my buddy Chris Broussard, a man that I've looked up to for my entire adult life, laughed at me, said I was way over my skis, way ahead of myself. Can't have Zion there. What are you thinking? He's played 23 games in his career at that point. So, Broussard, would you like to apologize to me? That's what I want to know.
As we used to say when I was growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, hecky no. Nick, that was August of 2020. Okay? Let me ask you, keep the list up there. Was that a projection or was that current?
No.
Because if it was a projection,
right
I'd give you, okay,
no,
you're
right
predicting
then.
Zion will be this good. Okay. But Russ, okay, it was then. Okay, at that point,
it was right then.
Zion was a 22.6 rebound guy on a losing team.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this year, he averaged 19 points a game over his first month. So stop it. At that time, August of 2020, he was not ahead of Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler even, Jason Tatum. I mean, Chris Paul. Stop it.
Yeah,
now,
he was ahead of all
you
of
had
them.
a
He was
mix.
ahead of all
You're trying
of
to mix it.
He's a
if
monster.
that would have been a projection, I might have given you Zion, but you had other guys that didn't fit that.
No,
but no,
it wasn't a
I'm not
projection.
ready
It was
to
right
apologize
then.
whatsoever.
He was being held back by coaches and teammates, and now he's fully unleashed. And now let's show America the jaw-dropping numbers, because the numbers are almost incalculable. Here, so let's just show me the first one, and we'll walk through it. Highest field goal percentage on at least 25 points per game. NBA history. Zion's got the highest. McHale, Barkley, Shaq, and Amari. That's 3 Hall of Famers and 1 guy whose career was shortened due to injury. All right, give me this one. Give me the 60% from the field. Most points per game ever. Zion's at the top of that list, along with 3 of the greatest players ever and one of the most underrated players ever in Kevin McHale. He is about to join this list. LeBron, Luka, and Kobe, of guys who were all NBA in their second season. I'm sorry, by age 20 in the NBA. And so, Broussard, I just want to go back to you. Right now, Broussard, if there was an expansion draft, I think he goes either first or second overall. It's he and Luka. And it does not appear that any team has figured out how to slow him down. The points per game doesn't surprise me. The fact that he's doing it on almost 65% from the field is totally unprecedented. Totally unprecedented.
No, I'm with you. Even though I saw greatness for Zion, you obviously saw greatness for Zion. The way he's doing it, 65% shooting in February, 66% shooting in March. And the scoring doesn't surprise me because today, even though he's not a three-point shooter, today's NBA is built for him. Not that he wouldn't have been effective back in the day, but with the floor so spread, it is easier than ever to get to the paint. And then when you get there, there is not the resistance that there used to be. There's 1 or 2 guys, and with his power and athleticism, he can go over them. So the thing that is surprising, in addition to the field goal percentage, is that his point guard skills. And I give credit to the Pelicans. They saw that he had those types of skills out on the perimeter, handling the ball, passing the ball before the draft. But the fact that he's playing some point guard, he's not a point guard, don't get me wrong, but he handles it so well, he passes so well that it gives the New Orleans Pelicans another wrinkle. And then when he's coming up the court, kind of going downhill, it's impossible to keep him out of the paint. So he still got room to grow. We know he can add the perimeter shot, but defensively he's going to get better. And rebounding wise, I think he'll get better. He needs to get better there, but scoring the ball, it is virtually unprecedented.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that he's a star. I'm surprised how he's doing it. He's just bullying grown men. And that's the surprising thing. It's how he's doing. He's getting into paint, and he's almost like I said 2 months ago, Shaquille O'Neal type body, and he has the skill set of Tyreek Hill. That's what we talked about right before the All-Star break. This dude is playing phenomenal. That era started then, and now he's taking it to a whole nother level. If you go back to high school and you could turn on the film, Spartanburg Day High School, this dude wasn't playing against anybody. Dunks all over the place. You know, just a freak athlete. Then he gets to Duke, plays 1 year, and it was iso ball and alley-oops. It was like, we don't know what to do with this kid. And finally, they figured it out down there in New Orleans, where it's like, hey, you're the point guard. you take the ball. That's what we talked about at the end of January. He's bringing the ball up court. He's the one that's leading the team. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with this guy and how they're going to build the team around him for the next years to come, because he is one of the premier basketball players on the planet right now, Nick. This dude is playing lights out. Sensational.
It's not projection. He's already one of the 15 best players in the league. Brandon, your point about him bullying grown men, I think, should be expanded on. When he was at Duke, he averaged 23 and 9 on 68% shooting. And everyone's like, okay, that is not even close to sustainable, right? 23 and 9 on 68%. In his last 23 games, he's 29 and 7 on 66%.
Unbelievable.
He's doing what he did at Duke in the NBA. And Wiles, I feel like you think we might be getting ahead of ourselves right now. What forwards what front court guys in the league have been better than him this year? Giannis, LeBron, Kawhi. That's the list. He's going to be second team All NBA.
I agree, and I don't want to be as you guys have the Zion parade, I don't want to be the guy with raining down rain on you guys, but they're 20 and 25.
God.
They're 5 and 5 in their last 10 games. They're 14 games behind the Jazz. I try to bring up a Mike Conley conversation, I get shot down. We don't talk about the Jazz. We don't talk about the Suns. They got one more win than the Bulls. So, I like Zion. I don't want to be painted in the corner, but Broussard, if he is this good, can we win a few games? I know Lonzo's out, but
hold on 1 second.
Few more games? Can we put up that?
We had this discussion before the All-Star break, and my exact words was the Zion Williamson era just begun. He wasn't playing like this. It's the last 15, 20 games, where he's taking it to a whole nother level. So the reason why the wins aren't there right now is because he's just now playing like this.
And
he's in the honeymoon period, Wilds. First few years, you're not going to win. LeBron didn't make the playoffs his first 2 years. We knew he was great his second year.
On Saturday, baseball is back on Fox as the Braves face Bryce Harper and the Phillies. Then the reigning champ Dodgers take on the Rockies. Coverage begins 3 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Excited about that. Time for stories to start your morning. Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Big NFL news over the weekend when the 49ers moved up 9 spots in the draft, presumably to take a quarterback. Which I know they already have a quarterback. But Adam Schefter is reporting that a Niners source told him Jimmy Garoppolo's there to stay, adding he's our guy this season. Remember, Brandon, Chiefs did this with Mahomes and Alex Smith.
Yeah.
You know what, Nick? I want to start with you, though, here. How should Jimmy G feel about all of this?
Well, probably not that dissimilarly from how Alex Smith felt, which is, this is going to be my last year here. They've made that very clear. We just went 12-4, went to the playoffs, but it's not good enough. The Chiefs were, 43-25 over Alex Smith's previous 4 years. They've been to the playoffs 3 out of 4 times. They've been in the divisional round twice, and they were like, nope, not good enough. We're going to have to move on. The difference is Alex Smith, that was the first instance of, if you want to call it disrespect, that the Chiefs had exhibited towards Alex Smith. He had the best part of his career under Andy Reid. They had supported him. They had drafted players to help him, and he knew he was going to land fine. This is the 3rd or 4th instance of disrespect thrown at the feet of Jimmy Garoppolo, who the last year he played fully healthy, the only year he played fully healthy, they went to the Super Bowl. So, Brandon, Florio wrote this morning that the Niners might go to Jimmy G and ask him to take a pay cut. That, to me, would be the final straw no matter what. If they do that, I think he assuredly is going to ask to be traded. But I do think even if they don't, even if they don't ask him to take a pay cut, Brandon, do you think he's talking with his agent, Don Yee, today about, is there a better spot for me? Can you get me out of here? Or do you think he's going to be the good soldier here?
I can't believe it. I can't believe that, Nick. You just said it. They disrespected the guy 3 or in 3 or 4 times already. This is a game where the quarterback is so fragile. They're so sensitive. If you come on their turf and then you disrespect that, what are these guys doing? They're asking to be traded. They're asking, to cut the guy that you just drafted behind me. You know, you saw that with Aaron Rodgers felt some type of way. Tom Brady felt some type of way. Even Jay Cutler, going back to Jay Cutler when we were in Denver, Josh McDaniels came in, he started flirting with Matt Cassell or whatever his name is, and then all of a sudden Jay Cutler asked for a trade. So Jimmy G should have already asked for that. But here's where he's at right now. He's numb. He's been here before. They've been here before. Jimmy G, you have a couple games to get it right. Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's dad, is still involved. In 2006, they went out and drafted Jay Cutler after Jake Plummer just took him to the AFC championship, led him to a 13-3 record. And what happened? We were playing well in Denver in 2006. We had a winning record. We were right there where we needed to be. And then all of a sudden, halfway through a game, like week 6, week 7, the crowd's going crazy because little boy wonder Jay Cutler came in with his hair to the side, and everybody start cheering. So they know what they want to do in San Francisco Wilds. They're going to draft a quarterback, and Jimmy G, if he's still on that roster, is going to open up the season as the starter, but he's going to have 3 or 4 games to show the rest of the league that he can still play and he can stay healthy.
Oh, you don't have to convince your old buddy Kevin Wildes or Bill Belichick that he can still play. Right now, Nick, you know who Jimmy G is? Oh, he's ever given. He's stuck in the Suez Canal. Like, my career was going one way. All of a sudden, I'm jammed here. The 49ers drafted in where I want to be is way over here. But don't worry. Here comes the Bill Belichick tugboat with his aggressive offseason moves. Woo! Who is it? Oh, it's Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. And here we go. We've been wildly aggressive in the offseason. The idea that Bill Belichick is done, I think, is wrong. And Jimmy G has that no trade clause, Nick. They can't just ship him out to wherever they want to put him. He wants to go to New England, a chance to start with a ton of brand new weapons. He's also going to be 30 in November, Nick. So it's not like he's this young guy who's like, you know what, it's all right. You can kind of push me around. It's fine. He's also not this old veteran. He's right in the prime of his career. I think he wants to go back to New England with Bill Belichick. And I think there's an argument, and I totally get it. It's like, you know what? You signed the contract, do your job. But here's the thing. He signed up to play quarterback. He doesn't have to be a teacher to Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or whoever. So I think he can quietly, politely just be like, you know what? I'm not your guy. You're going to want to start whoever this new quarterback is. You just saw Justin Herbert be wildly successful. I think the 49ers want to do that. It's time to ship him out to New England where he can be welcomed in open arms by the New England faithful.
So Jenna mentioned the time the Chiefs, coming off a playoff berth, traded 2 first-round picks to move up to 10 to get Mahomes. What might be just as, if not more instructive, is what the Eagles did. The Eagles traded 3 first-round picks to move up to 2 to get Carson Wentz, and then said, we're keeping Sam Bradford as our starter. Then what happened? Teddy Bridgewater gets hurt. Minnesota feels like they're in a pinch, and they're able to recoup a first-rounder for Bradford by trading him to Minnesota, and Carson Wentz ends up taking over. That wasn't necessarily their plan, but they had that as an option. But Wildes, here's my question for you. Our resident Patriot sycophant. The Niners are smart people. They're a well-run team. They also have George Kittle, an exceptional offensive line, a great offensive system, and they're like, guess what? This guy, not good enough. Can't get us where we need to go. Why are you so excited, aside from nostalgia from his 7 quarters of football with the Patriots, for Jimmy Garoppolo?
That's all it was.
That's the thing I've never understood.
It was 2 games. That's all it was.
Why do you want him so bad?
Because Bill said he liked them. That's why.
No, it's a little bit of that, but also like Cam realism. I think we all root for Cam. I don't think it was a weapons issue. And I want to be as optimistic about Cam as possible. So and Brandon, you can sit there and tell me that Cam can throw the ball all over the field. I don't think he can. And I don't think Bill Belichick is not upgrading at quarterback. Don't say it was the weapons. The guy's throwing the ball at people's shoelaces. The ball looks like it's 1,000 pounds.
Jenna,
so
was the
I'm
weapons,
rooting for Cam.
It was the weapons,
So
Jenna.
according to Wilds, it's
Miniature
ABC,
quarterback,
anyone but
miniature
Cam.
receivers.
That's how he takes Garoppolo. Before we go, we got to draw a little blank here. Yesterday was March 28th, which means Tom Brady is trolling Falcons fan yet again, wishing everyone a happy 328, referencing the Falcons Super Bowl 51 collapse against the Patriots. All right, Nick, Brady's IG post 328 was blank.
Well, I do like that he included future Chiefs All-Pro Joe Tooney in it. But aside from that, Brandon, it's just corny. It's just ultimate dad humor. Brady's not great
I'm so
online.
down on
He's not great
Brady.
online.
I'm
He's
gonna
not
go.
great online.
Jenna, I'm gonna go with a word I used earlier in the show talking about Zach Wilson. Fire, slang for amazing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say goofy.
Wilds,
I thought
jumping
you were going
quick.
to use the goofy
I
line.
thought goofy too.
Oh, I loved it.
We got to go. We'll see you tomorrow.
Fire.